Hey everybody, my name is Angelin, but most people know me as Angel. I put this channel together in order to help and inspire others on their journey by sharing mine. If you are interested, please like, subscribe, and share the video so that I can reach as many people as possible. So just to tell you a bit about me, I'm a single mom. I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I presently live in Plant City, Florida with my 2 kids. In this first video, I wanted to introduce myself and give some background information for those who aren't familiar with my story. I was born in LA in the front seat of a car, so it's safe to say that I've been impatient and bossy since birth. Soon after, my parents moved myself and my older sister to Las Vegas, where we were closer to my paternal grandparents. My parents struggled with alcoholism at that time, and immediately following a domestic dispute between my mother and father, I was separated from my family and placed with my grandparents. After that, my mom, dad, and sister went back to California, and I stayed in Las Vegas where I grew up, 200 miles away. I was 4 when my mom gave birth to twins, my brother and sister, and 8 days later I was adopted by my grandparents. I saw my mom and dad as often as possible. My dad successfully quit drinking, however, my mom battled with depression and alcoholism for the rest of her life. At the age of 8, my mom passed away in a tragic car accident, and I was obviously devastated. I adored her, and I am grateful for all the time that I did get to spend with her, and I remember the last time I saw her like it was yesterday. I grew up in a Christian household, and I attended private school through the 9th grade. Then my life changed again. My grandmother, who raised me and who I called Mom growing up, passed away from lung cancer. Luckily, my cousins lived with me at the time because I needed them more than I realized. They are like sisters to me, and despite how bad our lives ever got, we managed to pull through and usually were able to laugh about the situations that we were in. Life was really hard after my grandma, aka my mom, died because my grandpa, aka my dad, was in a lot of pain and was never able to speak about it or express his feelings verbally. So as a 15-year-old, I didn't understand his perspective. I didn't understand that our parents are only humans and sometimes they are damaged too. So long story short, I never learned to express my emotions in a healthy manner. I thought that being strong was keeping quiet about how I felt. I was just a girl trying to be the person that I thought everybody wanted me to be, even though that's not who I was at all. Recently, my cousin said to me that when my grandparents were around, I was an angel, but when they weren't watching, I was the devil. And that really stung at first, but she couldn't have been more right. From a young age, I was wearing masks and being who everyone wanted me to be, and there were very few people who knew the real me. On a side note, because I lived with my grandparents and they were old and they were homebodies, I spent a lot of time at my best friend's house, literally day and night. It was there that I learned Spanish and I discovered my love for Spanish culture. That tidbit is important because fast forward to turning 18 and graduating high school, I wanted a way out of my situation, and my boyfriend at the time, who was a handsome Honduran immigrant, just happened to need his citizenship as well, and I'm all about making dreams come true. So I walked away from my college education that was paid in full, and we got married. I left my grandpa, aka my dad's house, very abruptly and began working a full-time job and playing wifey to my new husband. Anger and pain will make you do some crazy, stupid things if you don't deal with them appropriately. That lasted for about 2 years and obviously fell apart because I was an immature hot mess and I was absolutely not ready for the responsibility that came with that type of relationship or any relationship, and I had no clue how bad the situation was at the time. You'll start to notice a pattern because I learn my life lessons and I learn about myself through my relationships with other people, my romantic relationships in particular, and I usually don't start paying attention until things are no longer ideal. After that, I worked at Bank of America for about 3 years, where I met a lot of amazing people that I still keep in touch with today. I played soccer for a while and just enjoyed each day as it came. After a couple years, I met my best friend's younger cousin and we became attached at the hip. After about a year, we moved in together, and a year after that, we moved to Florida. We were together for a total of 8 or 9 years and had 2 boys. Not long after having my first son, I received devastating news that my younger brother died from an overdose. He had been struggling with his own issues and addiction for years, and I tried to convince him to come out to Florida and live with me, but he never made it. I know that his overdose was probably not intentional, but it makes me sick to think that he felt like he had nowhere to turn and nobody that he could share his grief and his anger with, and he felt like numbing himself was the only option. I still have trouble coming to grips with the fact that he's not here. At the time that he passed, I had a lot of support from people around me, and I had a small child to take care of, so my hands were full. A couple of years later, I had my second son, and a couple of years after that, my husband and I separated and I was on my own. Despite being in such a long relationship, I hadn't grown on an emotional level at all. I still didn't know what self-care was, nor did I love or value myself. I was completely codependent, and after we split, I was lost. I was 3,000 miles from home, and I was scared. I had so much support that came through from family and friends, and for that I am eternally grateful. It all helped me transition into becoming a single mom. I've always been able to provide for myself, but the problem was that I didn't even know who I was anymore, and moreover, I didn't know who I was before I got married. Luckily for me, I had my best friend there who has always been such a perfect example of what a woman who loves herself, who knows what she wants, and who is unapologetic about it looks like. I needed her in my life to serve as an example of the fierce, strong woman I wanted to become. At the same time, I started a new job and met another of my best friends. We clicked right away, and I always felt like I could tell her anything. She feels like family. Also, in the background, I had my high school best friend supporting me all the way from Vegas. I needed all the support I could get, and I was horrible at asking for help, so I also reached out and got counseling as well. My counselor was amazing and set me off in the right direction, or so I thought. Once she pointed out that I had become codependent and what that actually meant, I hopped over to the other end of the spectrum and became hyper-independent. Still thinking that the love I needed came from other people, but now not allowing anyone to get close enough to actually feel any type of attachment or love at all. I had such low self-esteem. I had abandonment wounds. I had a paralyzing fear of rejection. The list just goes on and on. Being adopted, not having any female role models after the age of 15, experiencing so much death from a young age, all took its toll, and I couldn't even begin to comprehend how much work I would have to do in order to heal and be able to put down all the armor that I was wearing and take off all the masks that I felt I needed to wear for people to like me. I was still a mess, and I was already in my 30s with 2 kids. Since then, the universe brought along my latest bestie, and he has played such a significant role in my life in such a short period of time. Through my connection to him, I've been inspired to chase my dreams and become the best version of myself. I began to look inward and see that much of what I was doing and many of the decisions that I was making were out of fear and a result of the trauma that I hadn't dealt with in my childhood and adolescence. I was able to show myself compassion and finally experience self-love at the age of 34. That is part of the reason why I created this channel, because it shouldn't take anyone this long to get to this point in their life. If I can reach one person just to let them know that they're not alone and give them hope that it will get better, then being completely vulnerable in front of the entire world will have been worth it. I'm going to be posting more videos and getting into depth about being adopted, about the death of my loved ones and coping with death in general, about addiction and the ways I was affected by it, and many other topics that I touched on throughout this video. If there's a topic that I mentioned that you would like to hear more about, or you just want to share your feelings about my story, please leave a comment below. If you want to hear more about my story, even if you're just nosy and curious, make sure you subscribe to my channel to get all the tea. If you know someone that may benefit from this story, please share this video with them. That is the whole point of putting my story out there. So yeah, please like, subscribe, share, and I will see you in the next one.